Jack Miller liked being alone. That's why he took the job on asteroid KR-792, far from Earth and other humans. The mining company paid extra for these dangerous assignments, but Jack didn't care about the money. He just wanted peace and quiet among the stars. His daily routine was simple. Wake up, check the mining equipment, eat a bland breakfast from the food processor, then spend 10 hours drilling into the asteroid's core for precious metals. At night, he would sometimes sit in the observation dome and stare at the distant stars, wondering what else was out there. 6 months into his 1-year contract, Jack had settled into a comfortable rhythm. The loneliness that drove most miners back to Earth after a few weeks had become his friend. The only voices he heard were recordings from home and the occasional update from company headquarters. On a Tuesday, though days of the week meant little on an asteroid, Jack's sensors picked up something unusual. A ship was approaching. This wasn't a scheduled supply drop or company inspection. According to his instruments, the vessel didn't match any known human design. "Computer, run first contact protocol," Jack said, his voice cracking from disuse. The system came to life, sending automated greetings in every language humans had developed for potential alien encounters. Jack watched the main screen as his message was broadcast into space. Protocol required him to wait 15 minutes for a response before taking further action. 10 minutes passed with no answer. Jack's hands felt sweaty as he prepared the backup. Communications array. Then his main communications screen went dark. "System failure in communications array alpha," the computer announced in its flat voice. Before Jack could respond, another system alert sounded. Perimeter defense grid offline. Someone, or something, was deliberately disabling his systems one by one. Jack grabbed the emergency toolkit from under his console and ran to the security station. The blast doors were designed to seal automatically in case of a breach, but they remained open. Whatever was happening, the computer didn't recognize it as an attack. Through the viewport, Jack saw the alien vessel clearly for the first time. It was sleek and predatory, with angles that reminded him of the hunting knives his grandfather used to collect. The ship was small, built for maybe 1 or 2 occupants, and covered in what looked like adaptive camouflage material. "Computer, send emergency distress signal," Jack ordered, typing his authorization code. Unable to comply. All communication channels disabled. Jack felt a chill run down his spine. This wasn't a random systems failure or an accident. Someone had deliberately cut him off from the rest of humanity. The mining station suddenly felt very big and very empty. Jack grabbed his personal tablet and pulled up the station schematics. If he couldn't call for help, he needed to secure himself until the company noticed the lack of his daily reports and sent someone to check. That could take weeks. A soft thud echoed through the station. Something had docked. Jack ran to the weapons locker. Mining stations weren't military outposts, but the company provided basic security measures, a stun pistol and body armor for emergencies. As he punched in his access code, the lights in the corridor flickered. "Power redistribution in progress," the computer announced. "Override. Lock down all external access points," Jack shouted. Unable to comply. Central authority compromised. Whatever was coming aboard had already hacked the station's main computer. Jack grabbed the stun pistol and a portable air supply. If he couldn't secure the station, he needed to reach the emergency escape pod. The sound of metal scraping against metal echoed through the corridors. Something was cutting through the outer airlock. Jack moved quietly toward the central hub, keeping close to the wall. Years of training told him to stay calm, assess the situation, find a defensive position. Through the glass partition separating the hub from the docking area, Jack caught his first glimpse of the intruder. It moved on 2 powerful legs, but the similarity to humans ended there. The creature stood at least 7 feet tall with a body covered in overlapping plates that looked like natural armor. Its head was elongated with no visible ears, 4 eyes positioned for maximum field of vision, and a jaw that reminded Jack of Earth's ancient predators. The alien moved with fluid grace despite its size, each motion efficient and purposeful. It carried what looked like weapons, but it wasn't using them yet. Instead, it seemed to be scanning the environment, touching walls and equipment with long, clawed fingers. Jack had never seen anything like it, but he recognized the behavior. This creature was a hunter, and it was learning the territory. He backed, away slowly, careful not to make any noise. The escape pod was 2 levels down. If he could reach it without being detected, he might have a chance to get away and alert the nearest outpost. As Jack edged toward the emergency stairwell, the creature's head snapped in his direction. All 4 eyes focused where Jack stood partially, hidden behind a support column. It hadn't seen him yet, but something had caught its attention. The alien made a clicking sound, then reached to its belt and removed a small device. After adjusting some controls, it placed the device on the floor. A holographic display appeared, showing a thermal scan of the area. Jack's heart sank. The creature was tracking his heat signature. He had maybe 30 seconds before it pinpointed his location. The stairwell door was 15 feet away. Jack took a deep breath, raised his stun pistol, and made his choice. The shot hit the alien square in the chest. The creature staggered but didn't fall. Its reaction wasn't pain or fear. It was excitement. It let out a roar that sounded almost like laughter and charged forward with impossible speed. Jack ran for the stairwell, slamming the door behind him and engaging the manual lock. It wouldn't hold for long, but he didn't need long. He descended the stairs 3 at a time, hearing the metal door above begin to buckle under tremendous force. The escape pod bay was empty when he arrived. Jack punched in the launch sequence and waited for the pod systems to come online. The screen remained dark. "No," he whispered, checking the connections. The pod had been disabled, its power core removed. This wasn't a random attack. The intruder had planned everything, ensuring Jack couldn't escape or call for help. The realization hit him hard. He wasn't being robbed or invaded. He was being hunted. Across the galaxy, in the command chamber of the Zerkath hunting vessel, Elder Krav reviewed the initial contact report from young Valix. "The human shows promising reaction time," Valix's message stated. "It has sought cover rather than confrontation. I have disabled its communication and escape options as tradition requires. The hunt has begun." Elder Krav sent the ritual response: honor in the hunt, glory in worthy prey. But privately he wondered if sending Valix had been a mistake. Humans were an unknown factor. The Galactic Council classified them as a developing species, new to interstellar travel. Their physical attributes seemed unimpressive. No natural weapons, average strength, limited sensory abilities. Yet there were rumors, stories of human endurance and adaptability that defied biological norms, tales of problem-solving that rivaled the oldest species in the galaxy. Perhaps, Elder Krav thought as he closed the communication channel, we should have studied them longer before hunting them. Back on the asteroid, Jack Miller pulled himself together. If he couldn't escape, he would have to fight. And if he had to fight, he would need every advantage he could get. The mining equipment, the station layout, the environmental systems. These were all tools, if he was smart enough to use them. As the sound of the alien's approach echoed down the stairwell, Jack felt something unexpected. Not just fear, but determination. Whatever this creature was, whatever it wanted, it had made a serious mistake. It had cornered a human. And humans, when cornered, were dangerous in ways the galaxy had yet to discover. Jack's mind worked quickly as he moved through the lower levels of the mining station. The alien hunter had disabled his escape pod and communications. It had planned for everything, or so it thought. The pain in Jack's leg throbbed where a piece of metal had cut him during his escape from the stairwell. Blood seeped through his torn work pants. Under normal circumstances, he would head to the medical bay, but that would be too obvious. Instead, he tore a strip from his undershirt and tied it tightly around the wound. "Think," he whispered to himself. What would Grandpa do? Jack's grandfather had been a wilderness guide in the Wyoming mountains back on Earth. He had taught Jack how to track, hunt, and most importantly, how to think like prey when being hunted. Know what the predator expects, his grandfather used. to say, "Then do something different." The alien expected him to run and hide, so Jack decided to do something else. He limped to the maintenance shaft that connected all the major systems of the mining operation. The narrow passage was barely wide enough for his shoulders, and the alien with its larger frame would have trouble following. Jack crawled through the dusty tunnel until he reached the central junction box for the station's power grid. The mining station ran on 3 power systems: main, backup, and emergency. All 3 were currently online, giving the alien perfect visibility throughout the station. Jack smiled grimly as he began rerouting connections. Meanwhile, Valks was confused. The human's behavior didn't match any prey pattern in the Zerkath database. After the initial encounter, the human had fired a primitive weapon that barely affected Valks's armored skin, then fled as expected. But now, instead of continuing to run or finding a place to hide, the human's heat signature had moved purposefully toward the lower maintenance areas. Valks checked his hunting equipment. His thermal tracker showed the human's position, but something was interfering with the signal. The reading kept jumping between locations. Valks clicked his mandibles in annoyance. The hunt was proving more interesting than anticipated. As Valks descended to the lower level, the station's lights suddenly went out. Emergency lighting kicked in, bathing everything in a dim red glow. Then those lights failed too, plunging the station into darkness. Valks's 4 eyes adjusted instantly. The Zerkath had evolved on a world with frequent periods of darkness. He could see almost perfectly, giving him what should have been an overwhelming advantage. But when he tried to use his thermal tracker again, it showed nothing. The human's heat signature had vanished. Valk switched to motion detection, but that system showed hundreds of small movements throughout the station: cooling fans, automated mining equipment, air circulation systems. The human had somehow created a smokescreen of false signals. Valk felt something unfamiliar stir in his chest. Not fear. No prey could make a Zerkath fear. But respect. This human understood strategy. Jack worked quickly in the darkness. Having cut the main and emergency power, he was now running the station on minimal systems powered by the backup generator. More importantly, he had reversed the climate control settings. Instead of maintaining a comfortable temperature throughout the station, he had programmed the system to create heat signatures in 12 different locations. The alien was hunting by tracking his body heat. Now it would find Jack in the kitchen, the sleeping quarters, the ore processing plant, and 9 other spots. But the real Jack was heading to the equipment bay. Every mining station kept tools for repairing the massive drills used to extract ore from asteroids. Those tools could be weapons in the right hands. As he entered the equipment bay, Jack felt a sense of calm settle over him. The fear was still there, but it had transformed into focused energy. He began gathering what he needed: a plasma cutter used for slicing through rock, battery packs, adhesive strips, and most importantly, a canister of thermite used for emergency welding. Jack laid out his materials and began working. His hands, which had spent years handling delicate mining equipment, moved with precision even in the near darkness. He was creating something the alien wouldn't expect. Valks moved cautiously through the station, frustrated by the conflicting sensor readings. He had checked 3 heat signatures already, finding nothing but clever arrangements of heating elements. The human was proving to be an unusual quarry. Following Zerkath hunting tradition, Valks had disabled the human's means of escape, but left its habitat functioning. A hunt had no honor if the prey died from environmental factors rather than the hunter's skill. But now the human was using the environment itself as a weapon, turning darkness and confusion against Valks. The 4th heat signature led Valks to the kitchen area. As he entered, his senses detected something wrong. The air smelled of chemicals that shouldn't be present in a food preparation area. Valks paused at the doorway, his instincts screaming danger. A small object rolled across the floor, stopping at his feet. Before Valks could react, it erupted in a blinding flash. The magnesium flare, designed for emergency signaling, produced light at an intensity that overwhelmed even Zerkath eyes. Valks roared in pain, temporarily blinded. In that moment of vulnerability, something hit him hard from behind, burning through his natural armor. Valk spun around, slashing with his claws, but hit only air. The human had already retreated. When Valk's vision cleared, he examined his injury. The plasma cutter had burned a groove across his shoulder blades, not deep enough to cause serious damage, but painful nonetheless. No prey had ever wounded a Zerkath hunter during a qualification hunt. The elders would never believe it. Jack moved quickly away from the kitchen, the plasma cutter still hot in his hands. He had hurt the alien, but not badly enough. The creature's natural armor was incredibly tough. He needed something stronger. His next destination was the ore processing plant. The massive room contained equipment for crushing, sorting, and refining the metals extracted from the asteroid. It also contained chemicals used in the separation process, some of them highly volatile. Jack's plan was dangerous. If he miscalculated, he could destroy the entire station, but he was running out of options and time. The alien would be more cautious now, but also angry, and an angry predator might make mistakes. As Jack entered the processing plant, he heard something moving on, the level above him. The alien was tracking him again, perhaps using some sense Jack didn't understand. He needed to work faster. Jack began mixing chemicals in a large container, carefully measuring each volatile component. His mining certification had required basic knowledge of these substances. Never mix these except under controlled conditions, his instructor had warned. But controlled conditions were a luxury Jack couldn't afford. Valks watched from the shadows of the upper level. His respect for the human grew as he observed its actions. The creature wasn't just running on instinct. It was planning, adapting, using tools in ways that showed intelligence and foresight. In all his training, Valks had never encountered prey that fought back with such determination. Most species, when hunted, eventually surrendered to fear. They would either freeze or panic, making them easy targets for a patient hunter. This human showed no signs of giving up. As Valks prepared to move to a better position, he noticed the human looking directly at his hiding spot. The human's eyes couldn't possibly see him in the darkness, yet it seemed to sense his presence. Then the human did something truly unexpected. It smiled. Jack stared into the darkness where he'd heard the faint sound of movement. He couldn't see the alien, but he knew it was watching. Good. That was part of the plan. You picked the wrong human, Jack said aloud, knowing the alien probably couldn't understand his words but might understand his confidence. Then Jack pressed the detonator in his hand, not for the chemical mixture he'd been preparing. That had been a decoy, meant to distract the alien from what Jack had really been doing. The actual explosives were attached to the support beams directly beneath where the alien was hiding. The blast wasn't large, but it was precisely placed. The section of the upper level collapsed, sending the alien crashing down into one of the ore sorting machines. Before it could recover, Jack activated the machine. Massive metal plates designed to crush rock began closing on the alien like a giant vice. A normal creature would have been crushed instantly, but the alien moved with incredible speed, bracing itself against the closing plates with its powerful limbs. Metal groaned as the machine struggled against the alien's strength. Jack didn't wait to see the outcome. He was already moving to the next phase of his plan. The alien might escape the crusher, but it would be injured and angry. More dangerous, but also more likely to make mistakes, and Jack would be ready. Jack retreated to a maintenance shaft deep within the mining station. His hand shook as he applied medicated patches to his wounds. The alien had escaped the crusher, but not before Jack heard the unmistakable sound of something breaking. He hoped it was the creature's armor and not just the machine. As he treated his injuries, Jack tried to make sense of the situation. Why was this alien hunting him? It could have killed him instantly with its advanced technology. Instead, it had methodically cut off his escape routes and communication, but left him alive. This felt like more than random violence. It seemed like some kind of ritual. Jack's tablet still worked, though it couldn't connect to any external networks. He pulled up the xenobiology database that all deep space workers were required to study. The information was limited. Humanity had only encountered 3 other intelligent species so far, but it might contain something useful. He scrolled through entries on the known species, finding nothing that matched his hunter. Then he checked the section on rumored but unconfirmed species. There, he found a brief mention of something called the Zerkath, described as a predatory species rumored to hunt other intelligent beings as part of their cultural practices. Great, Jack muttered. I'm being hunted by space trophy hunters. The entry noted that the Zerkath supposedly followed strict rules during their hunts, considering it dishonorable to use overwhelming technology against prey. This explained why the alien hadn't simply blasted him with whatever weapons its ship carried. There was also a mention of a ritual where particularly challenging prey would be given a ceremonial weapon as a sign of respect. Jack wondered if that information was accurate or just spacer stories. Either way, knowing the alien might be following rules gave him something to work with. Meanwhile, Valix limped back to a small alcove where he had established a temporary base. His left leg was badly damaged from the crushing machine. The human had not only fought back, but had set a trap specifically designed to injure him. No prey in recorded Zerkath history had done this during a qualification hunt. Valix applied healing compounds to his injuries. The medicinal gel would accelerate his natural healing, but his leg would not be fully functional for at least one full cycle. His pride hurt more than his body. To be outsmarted by prey was a shameful thing among his kind. He reviewed the recordings, from his helmet, studying the human's tactics. The prey had used simple physics and available materials to create effective weapons and traps. It showed a level of adaptability that Valx had never witnessed before. According to tradition, when prey demonstrated exceptional cunning, a hunter was permitted to offer a ceremonial challenge. Valx removed a ritual dagger from his equipment, a blade passed down through generations of his hunting clan. He would leave it where the human would find it, a gesture recognized by most spacefaring species as a mark of respect. What Valx didn't know was that humans, isolated until recently, had never encountered this tradition. After resting for an hour, Jack left his hiding place. He needed to reach the command center to check what systems were still functioning. The life support was working on minimal power, but it wouldn't last forever. He estimated he had about 40 hours before oxygen recycling became critical. Jack moved carefully through the dimly lit corridors, every sense alert for signs of the alien hunter. As he rounded a corner, something caught his eye. A metallic object placed in the center of the hallway. It was a knife, unlike anything Jack had ever seen. The blade appeared to be made from a single crystal, its edge impossibly thin. The handle was crafted from a material that resembled bone but was covered in intricate carvings. Everything about it screamed, "Trap," to Jack. He didn't touch the knife. Instead, he used a maintenance tool to examine it from a distance, scanning for any electronic components or triggers. Finding none, he still remained suspicious. Why would the alien leave a weapon for him? Jack decided to leave the knife where it was. He wasn't going to play by the alien's rules, whatever they might be. He continued toward the command center, creating several false trails along the way. Valix observed the human's reaction to the offering from a hidden vent. The prey had shown wisdom by not immediately grabbing the blade, a caution that further proved its intelligence. But the human's failure to take the weapon was puzzling. In Zerkath culture, refusing such an offering was either a grave insult or a declaration that the prey considered itself already well armed. Either way, it meant the hunt would continue with increased intensity. Jack reached the command center and barricaded the door behind him. The main computer was partially functioning, giving him access to the station's remaining systems. He checked life support first, confirming his earlier estimate of 40 hours, then pulled up the internal sensor network. Most of the sensors were offline, but a few still worked. One of them showed a heat signature moving through the ventilation system toward his location. The alien had tracked him again. Jack quickly transferred control of the available systems to his tablet. Then he removed a panel from the floor and slipped into the narrow space that housed the data cables connecting all parts of the station. As he replaced the panel, he heard the ventilation grate in the command center crash to the floor. The alien had arrived seconds too late. Crawling through the cable space, Jack felt a strange calm settle over him. Fear was still there, but it had transformed into something else. A cold, calculating focus. He had survived 3 encounters with the deadliest predator in the galaxy. Each time, he had learned something new about his enemy. The alien was physically superior in every way. Stronger, faster, with better senses and natural weapons. But Jack had advantages too. He knew the station better. He understood the equipment. And most importantly, he was thinking in ways the alien couldn't predict. Jack reached a junction and paused to check his tablet. The alien was still in the command center, presumably searching for clues to his location. Jack smiled grimly. He had left plenty of false leads there. His next destination was the atmospheric processing plant. The life support system was the alien's greatest advantage. It allowed the hunt to continue without time pressure. Jack intended to change that. In the command center, Valks growled in frustration. The human had escaped again, leaving behind confusing trails. Some indicated it had gone to the lower levels. Others suggested it was heading for the airlock. The prey was deliberately creating false information. Valks had never experienced a hunt like this. On his homeworld, even the most dangerous prey eventually made a critical mistake, usually born of fear or exhaustion. This human showed no signs of either. Instead, it seemed to grow more resourceful with each encounter. A notification flashed. On Valks's wrist device, the atmospheric processors were being modified. Oxygen levels were starting to drop throughout the station. The human wasn't just hiding. It was changing the rules of the hunt. Valk sent a short message to his ship in orbit. The human is worthy. Hunt continues under duress. It was a rarely used phrase that indicated a hunt had become particularly challenging. No intervention would come. That would violate tradition. But the acknowledgement would be recorded in the clan's history, as Jack worked on the atmospheric processors. He thought about what he had learned from the xenobiology database. If the alien truly was a Zerkath, then this wasn't random violence, it was a cultural ritual. Understanding that changed everything. Jack wasn't just fighting for survival anymore. He was representing humanity in a test of species against the galaxy's most feared hunters. What happened here might determine how these aliens viewed humans for generations to come. With that thought in mind, Jack made a decision. He wouldn't just survive this hunt. He would win it on his own terms. The Zerkath wanted to know if humans were worthy prey. Jack would show them that humans weren't prey at all. He reduced the oxygen levels in most of the station, while maintaining normal levels in one specific area, the main processing chamber. Then he began setting up his final stand, using everything he had learned about his hunter. The alien was coming. Jack was ready, and the galaxy was about to learn an important lesson about humanity. Jack worked quickly in the main processing chamber, preparing for his final stand. This massive room contained all the heavy machinery used for crushing and refining the ore mined from the asteroid. Giant metal crushers, conveyor belts, and smelting equipment filled the space. Perfect for what Jack had in mind, the oxygen levels in the rest of the station were now dangerously low. Jack had redirected most of the breathable air to this chamber, forcing the alien to come to him. It was a risky move. If his plan failed, he would have nowhere else to go. But Jack was tired of running. His wounds ached, and exhaustion pulled at his mind. He had been awake for nearly 40 hours straight, fueled only by emergency stimulants from the medical kit. But humans had evolved as persistence hunters on Earth, capable of outlasting prey through sheer endurance. Jack drew on that ancient heritage now. "Come on," he whispered to the empty room. "Let's finish this." Across the station, Valks felt his respect for the human growing. The prey had changed the environment, creating a single habitable zone that forced Valks to confront it directly. Such tactics showed not just cunning, but honor. The human wanted to face its hunter. Valks's leg still hurt from the crusher trap, limiting his mobility. In a normal hunt, he might have returned to his ship to heal, but this qualification hunt required completion regardless of personal injury. Besides, Valks had no desire to retreat. This human had proven itself a worthy opponent. Defeating it would bring great honor to his clan. Before heading to the processing chamber, Valk sent a final message to his ship. No intervention, victory, or death. It was the traditional phrase used when a hunter committed fully to a hunt's outcome. Whatever happened in the next hour would be determined by skill alone. Valks moved through the station's corridors, conserving his remaining oxygen. His species could survive in low-oxygen environments longer than most, but even Zerkath had limits. The human strategy was forcing him to act quickly. As Valks approached the processing chamber, his senses detected multiple heat sources inside, more of the human's deceptions. The prey had learned to create false thermal signatures to confuse tracking. Impressive adaptation. Jack heard the alien approaching. The sound of its clawed feet on the metal floor echoed through the ventilation system he had modified to carry sound from the corridor. Jack stood in the center of the room, surrounded by his preparations. Around him, the massive ore processing machines hummed with power. He had reconfigured everything in the chamber to respond to commands from his tablet. Each machine was part of his plan, not just weapons but pieces in a complex puzzle he had designed specifically for his hunter. Jack had also retrieved the crystal knife the alien had left. He now held it in his hand, trying to understand its meaning. Was it a taunt? A test? Whatever its purpose, the blade was beautifully balanced and sharper than anything humans had created. It would serve him well. The main door to the processing chamber slid open. The alien stood framed in the entrance, 7 feet of armored predator. Its 4 eyes scanned the room, and Jack saw intelligence in that gaze. This wasn't just a mindless beast, it was a thinking opponent. "I know you can understand me," Jack said clearly. "Or at least understand what I mean. This ends now." The alien made a clicking sound that might have been agreement. It stepped into the chamber, moving with surprising grace despite its injured leg. In its hand was a weapon that resembled a spear, though the blade appeared to be made of energy rather than metal. Jack and Valks circled each other in the center of the chamber. For a moment, neither moved to attack. They simply studied each other, predator and prey, though it was no longer clear which was which. Then Valks lunged forward faster than Jack expected. The energy spear missed Jack's chest by inches as he twisted away. Jack countered with the crystal knife, scoring a shallow cut across the alien's arm. Valks roared, a sound that was part pain, part excitement. The hunt had reached its peak. The human fought well, moving with surprising speed for such a fragile-looking species. It had learned to predict Valks's attacks. Jack felt the rush of adrenaline clearing his mind. The alien was incredibly fast, but its injured leg made its movement slightly predictable. Each attack followed a pattern that Jack was beginning to recognize. When the alien lunged again, Jack was ready. He ducked under the spear and slashed with the knife, cutting deeper into the same arm. The alien's natural armor was tough, but the crystal blade was tougher. Valks backed away, reassessing the human. The prey had wounded him twice now, something unheard of in a qualification hunt. More significantly, it had used the ceremonial dagger that Valks had offered. By Zerkath tradition, the human had accepted the ritual combat. As they fought, Jack gradually maneuvered the alien toward a specific spot in the chamber. Each move was calculated, each retreat strategic. The alien didn't realize it was being positioned for a trap. When Valks was exactly where Jack wanted him, Jack pressed a button on his tablet. The floor beneath them suddenly vibrated. The alien looked down, momentarily distracted. "Now!" Jack shouted, hitting another control. The entire room's gravity reversed. This was Jack's ultimate trap. He had accessed the station's artificial gravity system and reprogrammed it to flip direction in this specific chamber. Everything not secured, including both Jack and the alien, was suddenly falling up toward the ceiling. But Jack was prepared. He had secured mining tethers to his belt and anchored them to the floor. As gravity reversed, the tethers caught him, leaving him suspended while the alien tumbled helplessly toward the ceiling. Valks roared in surprise as his feet left the ground. Never in countless hunts had prey manipulated gravity itself. Before he could react, he slammed into the ceiling with bone-jarring force. Jack didn't waste the advantage. While the alien struggled in the reversed gravity, Jack activated the ceiling-mounted ore cages, massive metal containers normally used to hold processed minerals before shipping. The cages closed around the alien, trapping it in a prison of reinforced drilling rods. Valk struggled against the cage, his strength impressive even in the disorienting reversed gravity. The metal groaned but held. He was trapped. Jack restored normal gravity and dropped safely to the floor. He approached the cage cautiously, the crystal knife still in his hand. The alien watched him with those 4 intelligent eyes. This was the moment of decision. By every human instinct, Jack should kill the creature that had hunted him so relentlessly. It would be the safest choice. Who knew if its ship contained more hunters? But something in the alien's posture gave Jack pause. It had stopped struggling. Its stance wasn't fearful, but accepting, almost respectful. Jack remembered what he had read about the Zerkath. This wasn't just random violence. It was cultural. The hunt had rules. And in those rules might lie the key to something more important than simple survival. You hunted the wrong species, Jack said to the caged alien. Humans aren't prey. We're predators too. We just evolved differently. The alien made that clicking sound again. Then, to Jack's surprise, it placed one clawed hand against its chest, in what seemed like a salute. Jack didn't know what would happen next. The alien ship was still in orbit. There might be more hunters waiting. The station's life support was failing. But as he stood facing the galaxy's most feared predator, now his prisoner, Jack felt something unexpected. Pride. Not just for himself, but for humanity. Today, one human had shown the stars what his species was made of, and the galaxy would never be the same. Jack watched the caged alien carefully. He had won their deadly game, but now faced a new challenge. The station's life support systems were failing, and he had no way to call for help. The alien might have answers, but how could they communicate? He remembered the xenobiology database on his tablet. It contained basic translation algorithms for the few species humans had officially met. It wasn't designed for this mysterious hunter species, but it might provide a starting point. Jack approached the cage cautiously. I'm going to try something, he said, holding up his tablet so the alien could see it. We need to talk if either of us is going to survive. The alien watched with those 4 intelligent eyes as Jack connected his tablet to the station's main computer. Jack programmed a simple translation interface using the first contact protocols all deep space miners were trained to use. It was basic, but it might work. When everything was ready, Jack placed the tablet near the cage. Can you understand me? He asked. The alien made a series of clicks and growls. After a moment, the tablet displayed text. Yes, understand, you worthy prey. The translation was rough, but it worked. Jack felt a surge of excitement. I'm not prey, he said clearly. I'm Jack Miller, human. Who are you? The tablet processed the alien's response. Valks, Hunter Clan Zerkath. You trapped me. Great honor. Jack frowned in confusion. Honor? You tried to kill me. No kill, came the translated reply. Hunt. Test. Humans unknown species. Stories say humans survive harsh world like Zerkath. Must test. Jack began to understand. This wasn't random violence. It was some kind of evaluation. Why me? Why here? Lone human. Isolated. Perfect for qualification hunt. First hunt alone. Prove worth to clan. So I'm just your test subject? Jack felt anger rising, but kept his voice calm. The alien's response surprised him. You prove humans not prey. Humans predators like Zerkath. Different evolution, same spirit, great discovery. As they talked, Jack learned more about the Zerkath. They were apex predators who had evolved on a death world similar to prehistoric Earth but with higher gravity and more extreme conditions. Their entire society revolved around hunting, not for food but to prove strength and skill. They respected only species that could challenge them. Jack explained that humans had also evolved as hunters, but had developed tools and cooperation rather than natural weapons. The aliens seemed fascinated by this alternative evolutionary path. While they talked, Jack monitored the station's failing systems. "We have a problem," he finally said. "Life support is failing. My rescue beacon was destroyed. Your ship is still up there, right?" "Yes," Valix replied through the translator, "but tradition forbids interference in hunt." "The hunt is over," Jack pointed out. "I won. Now we both need to survive." Valx was silent for a moment, then, "Hunt complete. You, Victor. By tradition, Victor decides fate of both hunter and prey." Jack smiled grimly. "Then I decide we both live. Can you contact your ship?" Valx gestured to a device on his armor. Jack cautiously opened the cage, ready to defend himself if needed. But the alien made no aggressive moves. Instead, it operated the device, sending a message in that strange, clicking language. Minutes later, they felt the station vibrate as another ship docked. Jack tensed, unsure what to expect. Would more hunters arrive? When the door to the processing chamber opened, another Zerkath entered. This one was larger than Valk's, with more elaborate markings on its natural armor. It stopped abruptly upon seeing the scene. Valk standing freely next to the human who had apparently captured him. A rapid exchange of clicks followed between the two aliens. Jack's translator caught fragments. "Human Victor. Unprecedented. Council must know." The older Zerkath finally approached Jack. "I Krev, elder of Hunt Clan. You defeat Valks. First-time prey defeat hunter in qualification hunt. Historic." Jack stood his ground. "As I told Valks, humans aren't prey. We're predators, too, just different." Elder Krev made a sound that the translator interpreted as laughter. "Yes, see that now. Galaxy mistake to hunt humans." 3 days later, a human rescue ship finally responded to the mining station's automated distress signal. When they boarded, the security team expected to find a dead miner or an abandoned station. Instead, they found Jack calmly sharing a meal with 2 aliens from a species humanity had only heard rumors about. The incident created a diplomatic situation unlike anything in human history. The Zerkath, previously believed to be dangerous hunters who preyed on other species, requested formal relations with Earth based on mutual respect between predator species. Jack spent weeks debriefing with Earth authorities, explaining everything he had learned about the Zerkath. Their culture, while alien, wasn't incomprehensible once you understood their evolutionary history. They respected strength and cunning, above all else, traits Jack had demonstrated. They hunt other species as a test, Jack explained to the diplomats. They believe only through hunting can you truly understand another species' nature. And you convince them not to hunt humans. "Any more?" one diplomat asked skeptically. Jack smiled. "I didn't have to convince them, I showed them. One human with mining tools against their best young hunter. I won. That told them everything they needed to know about humanity." A month after his rescue, Jack received a message from Valax. The young hunter had earned special status among his people for his encounter with a human. Being defeated in such a hunt would have shamed most Zerkath. But because Jack had proven humans were fellow predators, rather than prey, the outcome was viewed differently. "Not failure but discovery," the message read. "Council wishes know if Jack Miller would visit Zerkath homeworld. Honor never given non-Zerkath before." Jack thought about it for only a moment before accepting. He was curious about their world, and something about the invitation felt right. Humanity was taking its first steps into a galaxy filled with ancient species. They needed to understand their place in this new community. Before leaving for the Zerkath homeworld, Jack received a special package. Inside was the crystal knife he had used during their battle, now mounted in a new handle bearing markings from both Zerkath and human designs. A note explained its significance. "Among Zerkath, to bear the blade of both hunter and prey is highest honor. You first non-Zerkath to earn this right. Galaxy will know humans not to be hunted." As his ship prepared to depart for Zerkath space, Jack thought about how one encounter had changed everything. Humanity had been seen as potential prey, weak newcomers to the galactic stage. Now, because of what happened on that lonely asteroid, they were viewed as equals by the galaxy's most feared predators. Word spread quickly among the spacefaring species. The Zerkath, who had hunted countless species across thousands of years, had added a new rule to their ancient traditions. Humans were not to be hunted. In the great council chambers of the Zerkath homeworld, Elder Krav addressed the gathered hunting clans. He told the story of Valks and the human Jack Miller. He described how Jack had not just survived, but had captured his hunter using intelligence and adaptation rather than natural weapons. "We hunted humans once," Elder Krav concluded. "Just once. Now we hunt beside them, and the galaxy trembles.